A very warm welcome to all of you. My name is Piyush and I teach Indian polity, international relations, and political science and international relations for UPSC Civil Services examination. In today's session, we'll try to understand the nuances around optionals with a specific emphasis on political science and international relations as an optional for the UPSC Civil Services examination. Now, before I go into the details of how you can prepare your PSIR optional, I would first briefly talk about the importance of optionals in the overall scheme of the examination. You all must be aware that in the mains examination, you have to attempt 1750 marks. But out of that 1750 marks, 500 marks are constituted by the optionals. So, two papers for any optional which you like, what UPSC is basically suggesting that you choose an optional of your liking and then you show the UPSC how good you are in that particular optional. Try to understand, while the general studies is about your general understanding with respect to various aspects, whether it is history, geography, society, economy, environment, international relations, ethics, etc., the optionals are not about the general understanding. The optionals is about in-depth understanding on a particular subject, and that particular subject you have to choose of your own liking. That is what is the nature of the examination. That is what is the scheme of the examination. So from that aspect, if you see that this particular optional demands you to come prepared with such an understanding that you can show UPSC that you're an expert in that particular optional. This is what is the requirement of UPSC while they are putting the optionals paper to you. So you have to understand this before you go ahead with respect to the preparation of optionals. In addition to this, if you see on a very objective level, out of the 1750 marks, 500 marks which you are going to attempt for the optionals, you will end up getting 50%, 60%, or maybe more than 60% also, which is a lot of marks when you compare it in the overall scheme of the examination. For example, if I talk about the overall scheme, we have 4 general studies paper, GS 1, 2, 3 and 4. We have 1 essay paper and we have 2 optionals paper. Total of these 3 constitute to be 1750. Now, we have to strategize with respect to this 1750 marks, and if I only talk about the 2 papers of optionals, they'll constitute 500 marks out of 1750. Now, the strategic aspect which you have to employ as a part of your preparation is that when you are attempting for these 500 marks, you can aim for something like 300, which roughly is 60% of the marks, or maybe 300 also, which will give you a boost in this entire scheme. This is very important. This becomes even more important when you see it in relation to the other general studies paper. For example, the average score of the 4 general studies paper generally remain to be somewhere around 400 to 450, 450. It may reach till 500 also, but this 500 is also 50% of 1000 marks, or you will remain in the category of 40%. So your overall marks will remain somewhere between 40 to 50%. Obviously, there are cases above 500 also. I'm talking in generally about the marks which are awarded in this particular section. In this particular section, if you see, if you reach till 300, you are able to secure 60%. And we are concerned with the overall scheme of things. If we are not able to secure enough marks here, or if we stay in the average domain here and we outperform here, then also this will work in your favor. So the point being, these 500 marks are strategic from the perspective of your overall attempt. And as you must be aware that if you have to secure a good rank, you have to have a good score in optionals, and also you have to have a good score in essay also. But we are not going to discuss that part. We'll restrict our discussion to only this part. So Again, reiterating the point, understand the importance of the optionals and then start the optionals at an appropriate time so that your preparation by the time you write PT is complete for the optionals. That is the ideal way of going ahead with respect to the optionals. Now, having understood the importance of the optionals, now I would also want to discuss very briefly with you about what should be the considerations while choosing optional. After this, then we'll jump on towards the political science optional. If I talk about the considerations which you have to keep in mind while you are choosing this particular optional or any optional, there are broadly 4 criteria which you have to keep in mind. I would want you to have a look at that. So, considerations while choosing an optional. First consideration is your interest in the subject. Now, interest in the subject is very important. If politics does not interest you much, then certain subjects are not for you. Or if philosophy does not interest you much, philosophy optional is not for you. If you're not interested in the workings of the society to a level that you would want to go into the in-depth understanding of that particular topic, then maybe sociology is not for you. So first of all, see where your interests lie. In this interest section, generally, either you would want to go for more objective subjects like physics, mathematics, chemistry, natural sciences, or you might want to go for social sciences. However, there can be exceptions where we can go for some language papers also, absolutely up to you. You need to see where your interest is. Now, if you have done a particular subject in your graduation, ideally you should go ahead with that subject because already you are aware about the nuances around that particular subject. You already have a head start on that. However, if you are not comfortable with your graduation subject and you want some other subject and then there is a confusion, then the best way to go forward is that go and watch the UPSC previous year question papers and see what kinds of questions are coming so that you understand what is the broad aspects around the subjects. Sometimes it becomes a tedious activity, students are unable to do it. In that case, whatever the famous optionals are, you can choose any of that optional and you can go ahead. It hardly matters. As you must have seen, the toppers are from every subject, whether it is political science, whether it is philosophy, whether it is mathematics, whether it is socio, whether it is anthro. The toppers are from various subjects, or whether it is the topper from this year who is from a let's say an engineering, who has chosen an engineering subject. It hardly depends. Once you are confused, see, if you are okay, if you know that this is something which I want, or this is part of my graduation and I want to go ahead with this, not a problem. But if you are confused, you can go ahead with any of the famous optionals and that will pay you. Just you need to go ahead with your commitment, perseverance, and you have to have an attitude whereby you'll not give up and you have an attitude where you'll understand new things. You're ready to understand. So go with that attitude and all optionals will work for you. But yes, if you're absolutely not in touch with the philosophical aspects, then don't go for subjects like philosophy. Other subjects like political science, PubAd, socio, anthropology, history, geography, they are famous subjects which are taken by students every now and then, and you can also choose that. So this is first consideration, your interest. Second consideration, which is more important, is the overlap with general studies. Now, this is a very important consideration because whenever you study for your optionals, this is something which you should actually take into consideration, simply because of the fact that more the overlap, less you will have to study for GS, and at the end of the day, you have to be strategic with respect to your preparation. So this is something which I'll say is rather more important while considering optionals. Third important consideration is that you ensure that enough material is available in the market. That material should have test series, answer writing programs. These should be available in the market so that you have, let's say, we talk about the importance of test series. You should know that if you're writing an answer, where do you stand? And how do you know it? By attempting a test series, because you'll get to know What is your marks relative to the other students who are also serious with respect to the preparation? Answer writing is generally for social sciences subjects, whereby you need to learn the skill of answer writing, which obviously helps you in your general studies examination also. But this is something which is more important for social sciences. Now, the fourth one, which again I'll say is very important. The fourth one is the accessibility of faculty. Now, this is a very important consideration, how much accessible a faculty is. Because whenever you start a new subject, you are bound to encounter problems. And when you have problems, there should be somebody to handhold you. At that moment, whether the faculty is available, whether the faculty is accessible to you, and whether you can reach out, solve your doubts, and get back to studies, that's a very important consideration in optionals, simply because of the fact that you have to go for in-depth analysis, and second, the subject may be absolutely new to you. So you will need that hand-holding aspect, and that should be available. This is also a very important consideration while choosing an optional. Generally, these four things are taken into consideration. You can also do your own research by taking these things into mind, and then you may come to a conclusion what is your optional. Now, sometimes a fifth consideration of success rate is also seen, whether a particular subject is doing good or not. You may go for such considerations. However, I'll say keep it on the lowest end of priority, because if you work hard, you'll do good in any subject. So I would not give a lot of importance to this particular indicator. But many students, they come and ask, okay, sir, what is the success rate of this subject? What is the success rate of that subject? And if you are interested in such kind of, let's say, queries, you can very well go to the UPSC website. There are annual reports available in which you will find the success rate for all the subjects. If that is a big consideration for you, I would personally not say that you'll be influenced by these things a lot. Okay, now, having talked about this, now let's get to the point where we discuss these aspects with respect to political science optional.